what we've seen here. I mean, from teams at this caliber at this point in the knockout stage. So Lunok's still a solid choice, but even more so. I mean, you've got Glue, you've got Grok, you have that front line pretty much under control, and not to mention, I mean, we've seen some crazy things just alone from Grok with the wild charge setups or even the split from Glue. So already the first three choices are solid here for RRQ, whereas I feel like, again, Falcon specifically, you rely, anytime you have a Kaja, you are relying on that pick potential, that divine judgment, and I mean, if you have to use it defensively for a peel, then you don't have that advantage anymore. So you want to be able to match that up right now. If this is that Harith, most likely going in the hands of ZipX, we've seen Harith fall off really early on if you can't get those kills, and then you're just left with pretty much Zom and Force, you know, bouncing back and forth, and your damage just isn't there.
I think RRQ for sure understands that as well. They know that Falcon, they have a lot of pick potential. They have a strong jungler, a strong roamer with great crowd control, but they also need a strong mid laner to supplement that, to ensure that the mid lane isn't constantly shoved on, to ensure that they have a numbers advantage if they are roaming around as well. 3 bans onto Justin, the main playmaker, and you have to wonder right now, in his shoes, what exactly can he go for? Because for the most part, right, the bulk of the quote-unquote meta heroes has been banned away. And Justin, we've seen that on more passive heroes, he really does not shine as brilliantly as he usually does on these playmaking heroes.
Definitely interesting, and I'm thinking the same thing. What does Justin go for here? The Kadita, the Valentina, the Farza, the Yve, all picked off. So there's not that, I mean, I don't think there's any more like zone area heroes. Of course, the Harith could still get flexed over, but definitely limiting down there onto his hero pool.
I think the only thing that I'm thinking of is maybe Lilia, right? But still, I guess it really depends where the Harith is going, and maybe still it's flex, but Lilia would be a good option. At least you can clear, you can push fast, and you still have, in a way, it's a pretty much the counter relationship between baiting out ultimates from RRQ, because that's what we talked about with Brilliance from Lunok. So if you have the Lilia, you have that Black Shoes, you can hopefully, if you can, juke some things out and then get that advantage, because then you fall back on that Kaja pick for the Divine Judgment. Still, a lot of it relies on what else do you have? You know, can you, because it's great if you can get a pick off, but if you don't have that follow-up damage to actually get those kills, that's where you struggle. So even more so, RQ goes again with this durability route. Not only do they have Glue and Grok, but now they have Frederick.
Now this is a bit troublesome for Falcon, because previously RRQ, they don't really have the strongest of front lines. They had Vin on that Grok with full defensive items, and now it's a complete contrast. They are the ones with 3 heroes, and Falcon will be the ones trying to attempt to actually crack through the front line, and that seems to be their exact approach. Having the Harith, Ranger, and Lilia, a strong mix of burst and DPS from multiple sources, right? Physical and magical. And in the late game, with items, Justin can definitely melt down multiple heroes at the same time. That is the power of the quote-unquote DPS of the Lilia. But for RRQ, there you go. Three solid frontline heroes, 2 very solid backline characters. It's going to be a front-to-back.
I will say the problem, though, with Falcon when I look at it is very all or nothing here. High risk, high reward. Yes, lots of damage in your jungle. They're going to flex that Martis over to the EXP lane, but also a little bit squishy. I feel like in the early game with the Lilia, they will have nice wave clear. We've seen how well she does. They can put pressure on early on, but if they fail in that, it could become a big issue. So far, the Granger, a lot of people have very high hopes of it, but we haven't seen a great performance from it just yet. Even the Valley, when they used it, it had a great start, but eventually it fell off, and same thing went for, who else used it yesterday? I think Kyle.
Did we see it being used during the RRQ Blacklist game? Perhaps.
We might have. But
there's
anyway,
so happening.
We're going to load into the land of Dawn here and just see how this game unfolds. Again, RRQ up 1 point in this best of 5. Can Falcon even the odds here?
There's going to be a killing spree on Ken with that Granger. I mean, he's used it before. We've seen that he is very good at kiting back, in particular, using this Granger. So considering that they're up against 3 very tanky frontline heroes, that DPS is definitely going to be coming in handy. But the Purifiers, you can see from the side of Falcon, will be critical in ensuring that ZipX and Justin do not get locked down. And you can tell that RRQ, they usually just rely on the pick of potential. So this is something that they have to keep in mind this time.
Oh.
Whoa.
No.
Well, I was wondering about that matchup, you know, the Martis versus Glue matchup here, how that would pretty much play out. But, I mean, he's going to have the advantage. But look at the rotation here. Naomi and Ken making their way to the bottom side for R7, but gets the information. Now, I do also want to say that the thing about Granger, we've seen some amazing gameplay from the hero alone in different hands here, but what we have what we've seen is late game, eventually, even when you have a good start, Granger kind of falls off a little bit to the point where even the ultimate it's either you get that last killing blow or it just does no damage. And when you're talking about 3 tanky boys from RRQ, eventually it's going to be tough to deal with.
Yeah, but Ken doing a nice bit of damage. The problem is Naomi doesn't have that level 4 just yet. Falcon needs to at least wait for that, or at least wait for Justin to hit level 4 till they can really push the aggression.
Level 4 and Justin, that's definitely something they can try and attempt. They can be a lot more risky with their pushes. But on that point, on the Granger, that is a very solid point. It's a very ability-reliant marksman. So in the early game, it's dangerous, and in the mid game, it's going to be very strong. But in the late game, Skylar on this Beatrix will be out-damaging him quite a bit. But in the early game, though, this is where it's dangerous for RRQ. You can see
Desanada didn't land the final one, though. R7 able to get away, and that is very important for RQ. As long as they don't let Ken pick up these early game kills, it'll be very good for them.
Yeah, right now, first turtle of the game going to be up here. Both teams just trying to get that advantage. R7's going to make his way here as it ensues, but Yellow Flash looking for an opening as well. Ken waiting patiently, a lot of poking going on. Here they go.
Nice retribution onto R7. R7 going to get dragged back in. Vin trying to find it, just can't. Justin picks up Vin and R7. That is huge. Albert, though, walks in and takes the turtle with ease. No sweat off his back.
That is 2 kills traded for the turtle. In a way, it's not the worst of trades, but definitely, I think, gonna be a bit of an advantage for Falcon in the early game, man. These heroes, the Lilia in particular, is just so strong. Building towards an enchanted talisman, not quite there just yet, but the cooldown boots you can see. Falcon is gonna be very ability reliant, and the longer the game goes towards that mid game, RRQ, they cannot be as reckless as they were in game number 1, because if Falcon gets snowballing, this team comp is a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the aggression from RRQ right now, trying to get into the jungle. This is the nest, right? Back to the keys to victory. They are trying to invade the nest here of Falcon and work around it, because honestly, Falcon has to also pay attention to Skylar. If they can find picks up there, give that little bit of advantage to ZipX, that's best case scenario for Falcon, especially mid-game, because you want to allow this Harith to get online as fast as possible, has that mystery shop too, so you can really play around those power spikes, those timings, and anything here, Arashi, that sticks out to you in terms of emblems.
Well, as usual, it's no real surprise because everyone wants to go for a bit more movement, but afterwards you can see an Avarice emblem being used by R7, so he knows that the lane is going to be scrappy. He will have opportunities to try and just whittle down the HP bars of Yellow Flash, so making full use of that. So there's going to be a faster power spike as far as items is concerned for R7, and quick note, he has a sprint instead of the Vengeance, so this is why he was able to be taken down so fast in the previous fight, but this also means that later on, he can stick to whoever he wants to. A Glue on a split with a sprint.
Literally stick to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? I mean, that's usually what we see with just Glues in general, but still, it's a good point because honestly, your whole objective here for R7 is to basically do the same thing we saw him do with Joy, right? Mm-hmm. Be just that annoying nuisance for Falcon. But right now, they're going to go ahead and fight for this second turtle of the game, half health.
Naomi able to lock onto Vin once again. Yellow Flash finds that kill. R7 trying to get into the back line with the split. Albert does take the turtle, though. Naomi taking a bit of damage. Ken goes down. Naomi and Yellow Flash now on the run. RQ responding fiercely.
That is quite catastrophic, man. Ken, the jungler, was the one that fell from Falcon, traded for Vin. This is the same thing we saw Falcon fearing the engage coming from Vin, targets him instead to ensure that there won't be a big wild charge. But in exchange, right, they leave their members vulnerable and out of cooldowns for RRQ to just punish afterwards. This is something that RRQ just really enjoys doing, and in Falcon, they just have to adjust and do something differently, man. Vin is ready to take the fall for his team.
Yeah, I mean, he's actually looking for an angle here. Not sure if he's going to commit, but the pressure alone is exactly what's working here for RRQ. I mean, even around the purple buff.
A lot of damage does come on to Albert, but he is a tanky boy along with Vin. Clay also being some kill threat. Zipex does drop the Zaman's Force, trying to lock on to Vin here.
Still
Gonna
going.
need to watch out for Skylar, though. Doing a nice amount of damage. Ken and Naomi also here as well, but the disengage does happen.
So, I mean, this is the thing, right? Going back to that Granger pick, you want to have it for that early game advantage. The burst should be there, even in mid-game. But when you have this kind of a start, it's really tough here. And yes, these two are going to go at it here. I don't think anyone's going to go down. But still, it's a struggle for Ken at this point, especially because Albert now picking up that Radiant Armor. I mean, he's having a great game so far. Let's take a look at the items real quick here, Arashi.
Well, as you mentioned, Ken with the Hunter Strike, attempting to just get a lot more value, more chase, more slowdowns. And Justin now with the Enchanted Talisman, that's a lot of clear, a lot of DPS still. It only depends if RRQ actually stick around and crowd together for the damage to come through. And especially with the Radiant Armor completed for Albert, he's going to be a lot more comfortable just staying in the pit, contesting those neutral objectives. Is what we've seen happening since the first turtle.
Yeah, I mean, and the fact that Zipex is just getting pushed in right now in his own lane, it is very, very bad, especially for this next neutral objective, because Skylar can now rotate down. And with that sniper, going to bring Justin down to about half health. Vin with the conceal play, but mainly just opening up space, drops a wall. Ken does a nice amount of damage with Vin with a wild charge. Albert takes the turtle, and down goes Ken. Clay comes in, trying to do some damage. We do see Zipex drop the Zaman's Force, but it's still not enough. RQ taking claim over the Land of Dawn.
It's been traded again for Ken, and that is just such a sad situation. Trading the roamer for the jungle again and again. And as Nysa mentioned, the mid-game is where Ken needs to shine and show the power of this Granger. But if he keeps getting picked off like this is not going well at all. RRQ finally increases the lead up to 1.6k gold. And in the midst of all that, they are still the ones able to find structures, turrets in the top and bottom lane. Falcon will slowly but surely lose control, and that is where RRQ shines, when they can set traps for their opponents in the bushes, and especially if you take a look at the items here, Skylar with the BOD, that's a lot of burst damage coming in from the Bandit's Rage or the Nibiru's Passion, so Falcon now needs to be very careful where they step, lest they get engaged on by Albert or Vin.
Not only that, okay, hold on, Vin.
Second, wild charge does come down. Vin, though, will fall. Ken now moving on to Albert. Albert getting stunned up, getting slowed down, will get knocked up, able to dash through the wall, though. Naomi now trying to lock onto Skylar, but they find the distance. R7 with a huge stun onto three members. Snipe shot comes out, just misses. And now Falcon under the tower, no kills on the board other than Vin.
So that could have gone way worse for RRQ, but because of this lack of damage from Falcon, they weren't able to continue to follow up there. Now what's great, Ken was able to get a kill, right? Helps him a little bit in the itemization because earlier, before that, he was about 1,000 gold behind of Albert, plus about 2 levels. So, like you said, like we've been saying, he needs to be able to shine. There's the damage.
Ooh, that's a lot of damage, but he doesn't have the Death Sonata right now. Naomi trying to come into the backside. Justin as well, diving under the tower. Skylar tries to hit above, but cannot weave. Albert now moving on to Naomi. Naomi will fall. Albert, look for Justin. Death Sonata comes out, but still not enough damage. Justin doesn't have the black shoes. Needs to try to walk away from this. Gonna walk right into R7, though. He's able to move, but he goes down. It's a 2-for-2 trade on the map.
That is so unfortunate. RRQ, they're trying to just make an outplay happen, but Skylar, as well as Vin, they preemptively use a lot of their resources, including the wild charge, and that is just patience being shown by Falcon, just juking it out, showing them different looks in order to just bait out those spells before going in. It paid off for them. They closed in the gold gap by about 1k, but now it's back to square one. RRQ contesting the Lord now without the presence of Zipex to try and benefit Falcon in this fight.
And they are going to hold down. We got to watch for Naomi hiding out in this mid bush. One other thing, Falcon has taken a few towers across the map. Now they're all going to try to group up here. Vin brings in the wild charge. Naomi annihilated. Now RQ wants to move in. Albert able to take the Lord. R7 into the backside, but Falcon needs to try to retreat. Maybe they want to push in though. Zipex does dash in, drops him on Force. Instantly deleted. The Renner takes him out. Yellow Flash will be next. Ken though does find Clay. 2 for 3 on the map currently as Ken and Justin need to get away from this. It's a well fight, but RRQ comes out on top.
Okay, they grab a couple kills there again on both sides, but you gotta be cautious here for Skylar. He's getting to the point where he's gonna start carrying the damage department for RRQ. They've got that nice gold lead here. Naomi has to be able to find Skylar as they assault the mid lane. Still, they also have to deal with this Lord marching on the top side.
On that point, Naisu, as you can see, Hunter Strike as well as the Malefic Roar. So any kind of physical defense being built by Falcon right now is going to start getting shredded through. We saw the damage come through in the previous fight, and now with the Lord coming in, you can see that RRQ, they're sieging, but Vin also looking for a play.
Oh, big wild charge with the flicker. Justin taken down. Saman's Force does drop. Albert on the front side. Ken does find Vin. This is a good play. R7 going to come back in. Yellow Flash wants to lock him up. Spresh comes in, and R7 goes down. Falcon able to defend that push.
That's a 2-for-1 for Falcon, but RRQ with the Lord and the empowered waves pushing in, they were able to get so many turrets. So in a way, not the worst situation, but of course ideally when they're so far ahead, I say so far, but when they're 2k gold ahead against a team like Falcon, as much as possible, they want to reduce the amount of kills, the amount of gold they let go into the hands of Ken. Because we saw in that fight, that Death Sonata, especially to the squishier targets on the side of RRQ, it still does quite a significant amount of damage.
Yeah, it does quite a bit here. And right, this is your time, if you're Falcon, to step on the gas if you can, right? This starts with Naomi, find a pickoff, get that numbers advantage. You're still working against a gold lead here. Now you're able to get a couple more items like we take a look, on the proper people here for Falcon. But at the same time, you still have to worry about Vin, R7, Albert just taking the brunt of that damage. And even if you focus on Clay, you still have to get past that brilliance. You still have to get past everyone to get to Skylar. If they can get Skylar off the board here, they lose a big impact on damage for RRQ. Now still, it's going to be pretty much a stalemate until things transition in about 30 seconds for that next Lord here. But Falcon's going to have to get more space on the map. They've got only 2 turrets. So right now, RRQ with a huge advantage in terms of space.
And with that space, look at Zipex. He's not doing very hot in terms of kills, but look at his items, man. One more item, well, at least 2 more items actually, to get a full inventory slot. He is not too far
there's the
behind
Divine
Skylar. Exactly, that's a lot of damage still. This is a quote-unquote late-game Harith. He has the items available to be an actual threat to the tankier members because remember, he does have a good amount of true damage in his kit. And along with that, Lilia with a Ice Queen's wand and a glowing wand, that is a nightmare for these beefy fighters that have to close distance, that will take a lot more damage from the burn, the percentage HP damage coming in from the glowing wand.
And it's a very well amount of damage distribution as well. You have a decent amount of magic damage, a decent amount of physical damage with Ken. So RQ has to decide how they want to build throughout this mid-phase. Vin is going to miss that wild charge. Actually, he does land on to Naomi, but Naomi able to get away. Albert holding down. Zipex goes down, though. Albert finds it. Justin will fall on the backside. R7 going to keep on moving. Skylar picking up a double kill. A 3-for-0 trade and a Lord over to the side of RRQ.
With 3 members down, this is a very tough situation to be in for the side of Falcon. RRQ is very good at this. They know you have your death timers still on cooldown. They will push and try and get as much as possible. And even once Falcon members respawn, they still have to contend with the Lord coming in. And with a Beatrix on the side of RRQ, they can just very slowly but surely siege down these turrets, and they have already begun to do so.
Yeah, they're going to go ahead and lose that mid inhibitor turret here. Also the top one being whittled down. They've got to deal with the Lord as well. Falcon in full defense positions here as RRQ going to put their eyes on the bottom lane as well. Still a back and forth between both teams. Falcon looking at Naomi here. Can he find anything?
Oh, Vin will get suppressed here. Yellow Flash comes in, gets a few knockouts, but Naomi's deleted along with Zipex. Ken with the the Destinata, able to find Albert, but they've locked onto the base. They need to do something quick, trying to defend with all they can. Push the minions back, get them away because RRQ's trying to end this. RRQ gonna readjust the situation. Skylar able to clear waves. They have another wave of minions coming from the top side. Do they want to re-engage here? Skylar still at full health. Ken, Yellow Flash, and Justin all alone. Yellow Flash gonna try to move in. RRQ with the dash and the darkness. Ken will go down. Now the base is gonna get focused in. Skylar shredding through, but no minions there. Vin finds a wild charge. Naomi does get knocked up, but Yellow Flash is here as well. Skylar forced to finally retreat, but another wave. Sniper shot comes in, just misses, and Falcon lives to see another day.
RRQ, they just stayed a bit too long. They want to try and end the game right there and then, but unfortunately, the waves have been cleared by Falcon. They knew what they have to do, and soon we'll take a look at a replay. That was a very chaotic chain of events. It all began with RRQ going for a good fight. They got the pickoff, they get the members low, and that was an insane snipe. And off the bat, Falcon's already on the back foot, but afterwards, right, despite how damaged it looks, RRQ understand that the members of Falcon have a lot of burst damage, so Skylar was unable to actually move forward and end that game, and now they are back to just waiting for the next Lord, because of course for both these teams, that comeback is still a very serious possibility.
Well, I mean, even looking at the items, right, you just need a little bit more time for Falcon to at least have the full items they need, right, at least across the board here. Now still, there was a great defense coming out from Falcon in the base. I mean, even Ken able to grab a couple kills. At this point, like Granger's damage is kind of, is it there? You know, unless you hit the right targets, but still, you can see this from RRQ. They're pressing every situation they can. And a lot of it is, again, Skylar and Clay able to just freely be in the backside. And even Clay making those decisive decisions to flicker in, get those Chaos Bolts off. It shows just how strong RRQ is right now. Now that this Lord is for the taking, Falcon has to contest this if they want to stay in this game.
Yeah, they have no inhibitors right now, so they definitely have to contest, but R7 comes in with a big stun. Finn gonna get that wild charge off. Falcon now on the run. Zipbacks drops Bazan's force, but a little misplaced there. R7
man.
just being the distraction that RRQ needs. He's gonna jump on top.
Oh my goodness.
Ken, very low. Ken goes down. Vin with the immortality, but Falcon now on the ropes. All of them low health, and a Lord coming soon.
Just like the Joy, R7 does it on the glue in the same fashion, and it works so good.
RRQ, you understand that the main damage threat is going to be Ken on the Granger. They sent R7 after him, and during that split when he was mounted onto Ken, he preemptively placed the Slam to ensure that he can pull Ken back, and now RRQ are going for the kill.
Yeah, the Lord's gonna come in. They're gonna try to defend. Yellow Flash getting a couple decent knockups there. Black Shoes does pop for Justin. R7 trying to defend. Lord is locked on. Base getting chunked, trying to defend, but this will be it. RQ takes game number 2.
Wow.
Match point. RRQ here. What a performance. Still a pendulum between these two teams, but this time, RRQ again just coming out stronger.
I think their composition is just so much stronger in the late game. It's a bit of the same situation. There are moments where Falcon were able to get an advantage, but afterwards, RRQ just find that single moment, they get 3 kills onto Skylar, and just like that, that Beatrix damage in the mid-game, that was insane, man.